Welcome to Mission to Inspire with Shola Ajibade, where inspiration, purpose, and abundance come alive. Together, we'll empower lasting change, helping you step boldly into your greatest potential. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola, and I'm here today. I'm joined today by David. David does. Hi, David. How are you? Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this hub, Faith Hub, you get to access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith Your app. Join me there and see you soon.
Well, Shola, how about you?
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
David is the visionary founder of CKC Fund, an asset management consulting firm redefining the approach to wealth management by merging traditional finance with the innovation of blockchain technology. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So, David, we would like you to introduce yourself properly to us. Let us know who you are and exactly what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my background is in the digital economy space. So I've worked on strategy and business development around startups, as well as digital transformation in larger organizations like Citi or Saks Fifth Avenue, and built tried and true approaches from.
So, David, can you please introduce yourself? Let us know you better.
Absolutely. So my background is in the digital economy space. I've worked between software and finance and commerce at that intersection point there. And I've worked on everything ranging from startups in Silicon Valley to digital transformation in larger organizations like Citi or Saks Fifth Avenue. And specifically, I've spent about the last 8 years in the blockchain and digital asset space. So what I do is my team and I serve that does that to
go for it.
Yeah, well, so just to introduce myself briefly, my background is in the digital economy space. So basically, I work at that intersection between technology, commerce, and financial services. And that's included in my career, working with startups in Silicon Valley, as well as digital transformation initiatives in larger orgs like Citi and Saks Fifth Avenue. And what I've focused on over the last 8 years or so has been the blockchain and digital asset space. So my team and I, we provide blockchain program management and digital asset management services to businesses and investors. So that ranges from helping to integrate blockchain and digital assets into business plans and business strategies, to managing assets for businesses and investors and funds within the digital asset space. So basically, taking those tried and true approaches to managing investments in any other space and applying them into this exciting new emerging asset class.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. So Absolutely. You actually have a fascinating career. We're going through your bio, reading a little bit more about you. But then I could see that you had the bridging traditional finance and blockchain career.
Mhm.
What actually initiated, or what initially drew you to the intersection of these two fields? Because they are quite, I know they're similar, but what drew you into that field, or into those two fields?
Yeah, well, so I grew up in a pretty multicultural sort of bridged background, I guess you could say. I mean, I grew up speaking different languages, and I ended up, living, working, studying in different countries and continents around the world. And I was also really fascinated with the ability for in my studies, research, in university and grad school.
Mm.
I was really fascinated with the ability and potential for small groups in the private sector to catalyze change around the world. And so combining that with then, coming back to where I grew up in Silicon Valley,
Mm-hmm.
working in technology,
Yeah.
getting an MBA in innovation and
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, really became very fascinated with the ability for blockchain to kind of create that type of bottom-up social and economic movement for more people and more businesses around the world. So, realizing things like, say, how siloed traditional financial structures are, even, being in the U.S., even how much of a siloing there is from state to state. I'm in New York right now. I look out my window and I see New Jersey, but to send money or in certain circumstances from New York to New Jersey can create complications and stuff like this.
Really?
Those types of those are types of problems that blockchains are helping to solve.
Oh, that is quite interesting. That's very interesting. Wow. Wow. So for someone new to digital assets, because
Mm.
what are some practical ways to incorporate the blockchain or cyber into a diverse field investment portfolio? I mean, how do you do that? And how can people actually break into that if they wanted to?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, much like other asset classes, you've got different tiers, and you've also got different niches in
Mhm.
the crypto space. So, let's say if we're talking about, uh, for example, stocks, you've got your high cap things like Microsoft or Google. You've got your mid cap sort of growth companies. You've got your low cap um, companies as well, the penny stocks and stuff like this. Somewhat similar in the digital asset space. There are 25,000 plus different digital assets out there.
Yeah.
And these are split, from Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin now is
Mhm.
blue chip. Bitcoin is high cap. The market capitalization of Bitcoin is is larger as of last time I checked than the market cap of silver. It's comparable to the market cap of, Fortune 50 type of companies in the stock market. So this is now something that is very prevalent, very very sizable in its impact. But it's also to that point about incorporating into a diversified investment portfolio. The
Right.
question often then becomes, what is the next Bitcoin, right? So, these really top chip, blue chip stocks or blue chip digital assets, they're in many ways very valuable assets, but they're also not necessarily as high growth as some of the lower smaller sized ones. So kind of that question of, do you want to be investing into Google right now, or do you want to be investing into Google 10 years ago, sort of a thing? So really the question becomes, what is the next Google? What is the next Bitcoin? And so those types of, and how do you get exposure to that upside of potentially finding the next Bitcoin
Yeah.
without well, basically being able to mitigate the risks, right? Because for every Google that has succeeded, there are, tens or hundreds of companies that didn't, right? So, and it's very easy to say, oh, if I had only invested in Google 20
Mhm.
years ago, but 20 years ago, a lot of people uh, didn't think that it was going to be as big of a deal as it is today, right?
Yeah.
So that's somewhat similar. It's hindsight is always 2020, right? So how do you mitigate that risk of, helping to make sure that you can get some of that upside exposure of that really.
Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this app, Faith Hub, you get access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith Here app. Join me there and see you soon.
Exponential growth of these next projects, while
Yeah.
also avoiding being overexposed to the downside of, too much exposure to the projects that don't make it.
That don't make it right. So what's the present Bitcoin right now?
Present, what is the present Bitcoin? Or what do you mean?
I mean, we were saying something about the next Bitcoin. I mean, so
Yeah.
what's the in thing right now?
Yeah, well, so it's really, I would think, more almost kind of categories in a way, right? So like you had, in the kind of the explosion of the internet economy, you had social media, right? I mean, Facebook was really kind of knocked it out of the park pretty early, right? But well, you
Yeah,
also had MySpace pretty early that didn't make it. So
yeah,
there's those kinds of considerations. But
mhm,
then you also have niches within niches, right? So you've got the internet economy, you've got social media, but
yeah.
then within social media, it's not like there's just one player that kind of completely dominate the space.
That's
You've
true.
got, Facebook for these days largely more, say, keeping, at least for me, I use Facebook to keep in touch with friends from college, people, some folks in older generations will maybe use it to, kind of reunite with, lost friends from their high school dates,
Mhm.
40, 50 years ago, these sorts of things. Maybe LinkedIn is more, more professional setting. TikTok is maybe a bit more kind of fast culture, a bit of a younger audience. There can be niches within those categories
Right,
that different groups can dominate in. So
right.
somewhat similarly, let's say there's Ethereum, which is the number two cryptocurrency by market capitalization.
Yeah.
But then there have been projects that have been really taking off with similar value props, and
Mhm.
maybe they're competitive to each other. Like, in some ways, Facebook and LinkedIn are perhaps competitive to each other, but
Yeah,
maybe they're also complementary. Where, in this example, maybe Ethereum is kind of more like LinkedIn.
yeah,
Maybe Solana is more like TikTok. There are a lot of memes and meme coins floating around on that platform.
yeah,
So that's one thing, is just thinking through, uh, basically, you've got Bitcoin, but then you've got all these different use cases and utilities of smart contract platforms,
mm,
decentralized infrastructure, meme coins, etc. And so, what are some potential bets? We None of us has a crystal ball of, which one is going to be the one, but what are some potential bets, and how can we build a portfolio that can capture as much upside from that broad range as possible while minimizing the risk?
right. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for clarifying that and sharing those not little nuggets into
Absolutely.
the world. So they've actually there are so many regulations around this now, especially numerous ones.
Mm.
You advise clients to navigate this complexity.
Mm, yeah. So the it's a very personal question, case by case, I think. And so I think when you're looking to get more uh, insights into your specific situation, you should absolutely talk with, a lawyer, licensed tax professional, et cetera, or certified public accountant, these sorts of folks about your finances, your overall situation. But from
Right.
a broader standpoint,
Mhm.
the legal and regulatory climate is evolving in crypto, right? So, and it's also evolving differently and at different paces in different countries. So you've got certain countries like the US, which tend to be kind of a bit more anything goes towards the beginning of into a regulatory framework, historically banned, so kind of the reverse structure. And then you've got also a lot of emerging players, smaller countries like Singapore or the United Arab Emirates or the Cayman Islands that are able to move faster, where they've got a lot fewer layers of red tape, so to speak, to get to a national level framework because they have a smaller population and smaller infrastructure, right? So you've got some of those players really leading the charge on kind of advancing regulatory frameworks. And then you've also got, in general, more emerging markets tend to adopt some of these technologies faster because they have more vested interest in doing so.
Right.
One example I like to use is with the transition from landlines to cell phones. The U.S. had this incredible landline system. I remember growing up,
Mhm.
we'd have these call boxes on the freeway every few miles or so, and really there were a lot of other countries that adopted cell
Mhm.
phones much faster than in the U.S., where maybe those countries didn't have as sophisticated of a landline structure, but then they ended up being more advanced faster on the mobile side. So I think that comes down to, when we're talking about what do legal and regulatory issues mean for you? What do they mean for me? I think this depends on, our goals, financial situations, the country we're living in,
Right.
the country of our citizenship, and various other factors.
Okay, great. How do you see blockchain technology influencing wealth management and personal finance strategies? Because you're
Yeah,
actually known for the strategic long-term, financial planning. So yeah.
yeah. So there's it's going to be it's gaining more and more of a role. So there's exponential growth in the number of wealth managers providing and fund managers providing services around this area. There's exponential growth in people
Right.
interested in it or asking for these services.
Right.
And in general, as with a lot of things, it depends on the risk reward profile of the people or the institutions involved. But you've got on kind of the more conservative side
Mm.
institutions like BlackRock that are suggesting to their sort of major corporate clients who are dealing with billions and billions of dollars. They're suggesting to maybe allocate in some cases 1%, maybe 2% into the digital asset space. And then you've
Yeah.
got other analysts, who are helping maybe more sort of high net worth individuals, maybe with different sort of goals and risk profiles. And they're suggesting to allocate anywhere between 5 and 20% of overall net worth into the space. But the broader trend there is that a kind of a small but mighty allocation into this space can
Mm.
can provide a lot of upside. Where basically we talk about asymmetric upside opportunity. That if you have, let's call it 5% of a portfolio of your net worth or your portfolio in digital assets, and it does badly, then you still have 95, 98% of your portfolio intact. If it does well, it's the sort of a play that could 2x, 5x, 10x, and then all of a sudden you've got overall just a much larger portfolio that you're looking at. So basically managed calculated plays at a minority position of the portfolio is the overall trend that is growing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So, how many people are curious about blockchain potential beyond Cypher? Can you share some insights on its impact on alternative investments, like real estate, for example?
Blockchain potential beyond crypto is definitely an important question. So, for one thing, a major trend that's gaining a lot of traction is the tokenization of real world assets. So, tokenized real estate, tokenized private equity, tokenized loans, these sorts of things. Basically, providing an ability to have more liquidity across different across borders, between countries for assets that historically have been maybe less liquid or more reserved for sort of a very privileged few, or else that have been hard to move from country to country. These are very high potential, and there are major leadership organizations such as the World Economic Forum that are predicting tens of trillions of dollars in value being created
Yeah.
in the real world asset tokenization space over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a broader category that I'm really excited to see play out.
See, yeah. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us today. Any inspirational advice for people out there?
Well, let's see. Um, I would say that eh, overall, this is something where if you can educate yourself and basically create a framework either yourself or with professionals where you have sort of a recipe for success,
Yeah.
then this is an area where you can really go far. I think I was just reading a quote the other day from Dwight Eisenhower, which said that not basically that oh gosh, I would be doing it maybe a bit of injustice, but I think it was no battle was ever won according to plan, but no battle was ever won without one. So that's kind of to that point of we may not know what the next Bitcoin is going to be, or we may not know completely, but
Yeah.
if we have a plan, then
Yeah.
we're setting ourselves up for success. So I think that's kind of the broader theme here.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, it's Shola and David on Mission to Inspire. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye. Are you ready to unlock a life of abundance, wealth, and purpose? I'm Shola Ajibade, your money, abundance, and prosperity coach, and I'm inviting you to join me on the Faith Hub, where faith meets prosperity. Inside this hub, Faith Hub, you get to access my exclusive coaching, powerful money affirmations, and life-changing resources to help you attract financial success and walk boldly in abundance. Dive into my books, live sessions, and daily affirmations designed to transform your mindset and align you with divine wealth. Join me today on Faith Here and start speaking prosperity into your life. Download the app, Faith Here app, now and step into your season of massive abundance. I shall see you on Faith Here app. Join me there and see you soon.